galaxy had seen many wars. Empires rose, empires fell, and the strong always crushed the weak. To survive, small races often bowed before greater powers. One such race was the Valari, a gentle people of scholars and healers. They were not warriors. Their ships were slow, their weapons old. In the past, they had often suffered under raiders and pirates. But long ago, something strange happened, something the Valari never forgot. They were saved by humans. It was not a great war, not a grand battle. Only a single Terran cruiser had answered their desperate call. Pirates had surrounded a Valari colony, demanding tribute. The Valari had no choice but to give up their food, their medicine, even their children. Then out of nowhere, a Terran ship appeared. The humans fought like fire. Their ship was scarred, their numbers small, but they drove the pirates away. Afterwards, the humans gave the Valari supplies, repaired their systems, and simply said, "One day, perhaps you will help us in return." Then they left. That was centuries ago. The Valari never saw humans again. Most of the galaxy believed Terrans were extinct, wiped out by their own wars. The Valari kept the memory alive, but even they began to think it was only a story, until now. The Valari were in danger again. This time their enemy was far greater than pirates. The Drexian Empire, a brutal warrior race, had decided the Valari world would be theirs. The Drexian fleets moved without mercy. Dozens of warships filled Valari skies, demanding surrender. The Valari had no army to resist. Their cities burned, their people hid in fear. In desperation, the Valari Council searched their records, and they remembered the Terrans, the old story, the promise it was foolish, humans were gone. Everyone knew it. Yet the Valari sent a signal anyway, a single desperate message broadcast into the void of Terran space. To the humans, if you still live. Long ago you saved us. You asked only that one day we might return the favor. Now we are dying. If you hear this, we beg you, help us. The message faded into silence. The Drexian warlord laughed when he learned of it. You called ghosts to save you? He sneered. Pathetic. The humans are dust. No one will come. The Drexian fleet prepared to crush the Valari homeworld once and for all. But in the deep dark of forgotten space, far beyond Drexian eyes, an old Terran relay woke. Lights flickered on after centuries of silence. Hidden satellites passed the message from one to another across the ancient network. And somewhere, in the cold shadow of a dead star, humans listened. The Valari Council sat in despair. Their last hope was a dream, and the dream had failed. The Drexians would destroy them, and no one in the galaxy would lift a hand to stop it. But then, something happened. Valari long-range sensors caught movement at the edge of the system. At first, they thought it was more Drexian reinforcements. But the ships were not Drexian. They were dark, angular, and carried no markings. Their drives burned with strange light. The Valari stared at their screens in silence. Who are they? One whispered. The answer came in a calm, human voice, transmitted across the planet. This is the Terran Expeditionary Command. Valari people, your call has been heard. The debt is remembered. Stand fast. You are not alone. The Valari wept. After centuries, the Terrans had returned. High above, the Drexian warlord received the same signal. His crew laughed in disbelief. Terrans. Impossible. Extinct for 300 years. Some coward tries to scare us with an old name, but the warlord did not laugh. His instincts told him the voice was real, and when the unknown fleet moved closer, he felt the first spark of unease. Ready weapons, he ordered. Whoever they are, we will show them what happens when they challenge the Drexian Empire. The black Terran ships drifted into formation, silent, waiting, watching. The galaxy had forgotten them. The Drexians mocked them, but the Valari remembered, and soon so would everyone else. The Drexian fleet hung like a storm above the Valari homeworld. Dozens of warships, bristling with weapons, their crimson banners glowing in orbit. They believed victory was certain. The Valari had no fleet, no army, no defense. Then the new ships appeared. At first, only 5 of them, black silhouettes sliding from the edge of the system. Their hulls reflected no light. They carried no empire's crest, no familiar design. To most they looked like relics, rusted, old, forgotten. The Drexians laughed. "Ghost ships," one captain said. "Scrap metal," said another. But the warlord's eyes narrowed. Something about their movement, too precise, too calm. The Valari, watching from their ground stations, could not breathe. Was this real? Could it truly be humans? Their records described Terran ships as strong but simple, crude even. These ships looked nothing like the descriptions. They looked advanced, almost alive. Then the transmission came again. The same steady human voice. "Valari colony, we confirm your call. Terran command acknowledges the debt. You will not fall." For a moment, silence filled the galaxy. The Drexians stared. The Valari cried out in disbelief. And across hidden networks, other races listening from afar whispered the word that had been dead for centuries. Humans. The Drexian warlord growled. "Open a channel." His massive face appeared on every Drexian ship and also on the mysterious fleet. He bared his sharp teeth in a mocking grin. "Terrans? A lie, your kind is dead. And if by chance you still exist, you are nothing. Weak, forgotten. Stand aside or be crushed with these pathetic scholars." For a long moment, the Terran ships gave no answer. Then, the same calm voice spoke again. 300 years ago, Terrans made a promise. We do not forget. We do not abandon. Leave now or test what remains of us. The warlord roared with laughter. 5 ships against my fleet of 30? You dare? He cut the channel and ordered his forward cruisers to engage. The first Drexian cruisers surged ahead, weapons lighting the void. Beams of plasma cut across the darkness, aimed at the small Terran formation. The Valari shield stations trembled, expecting the newcomers to be destroyed in seconds. But the Terran ships moved, not like Drexian warships, not like anything the Valari had ever seen. They did not lurch or stagger. They flowed as if the void itself bent around them. Each Terran ship twisted aside at impossible speed, plasma beams missing by a fraction. Then they struck back. The lead Terran vessel unleashed a single flash of white light. No thunder, no roar, just silence. A Drexian cruiser split apart instantly, its shields burning out like paper. The second Terran ship fired, and another cruiser vanished in flames. Within seconds, 2 Drexian warships were gone. The Valari gasped. The galaxy watched in shock. The Drexians froze in disbelief. "How?" A captain shouted. "What weapons are these?" The warlord slammed his fist down. "Do not fear, shadows. Attack with everything." The battle erupted. The Drexian fleet poured firepower into the small Terran force. Yet every beam missed. Every missile was intercepted. The Terran ships weaved through destruction as if they had fought this battle 1,000 times before. And with every strike, another Drexian ship burned. From the ground, the Valari cheered. Their people, who had been ready to surrender and die, now watched hope blaze across their skies. But the Terrans did not cheer. Their voices remained cold, professional calm. Target neutralized. Moving to intercept. Next strike in 12 seconds. Maintain formation. No errors. It was not rage that drove them. Not vengeance. It was something far more terrifying. Discipline. Within minutes, 10 Drexian ships were gone. The rest pulled back, regrouping in confusion. The warlord's laughter had faded. His claws tapped against his chair, restless, uncertain. He could not understand. The Terrans were supposed to be extinct. And even if a handful survived, how could they stand against Drexian power? Then he realized something. They were holding back. The Terran ships had fired with precision, destroying targets one by one. They had not unleashed their full arsenal. They were testing him, measuring him. The warlord's blood ran cold. Down below, in the Valari council chamber, the elders turned to one another with wide eyes. They came. They truly came for us. And if 5 ships can do this, what else do they have? The youngest counselor whispered the thought none dared speak aloud. Perhaps the humans were never gone. Perhaps they were only waiting. On the battlefield, the Terran ships drifted back into calm formation. The voice returned, stronger this time, broadcast across every channel in the system. Drexian commander, you tested us, you lost. Withdraw now, and no further action will be taken. It was not a threat. It was a statement, spoken as if the outcome was already decided. The Drexian warlord felt rage burn in his chest. To retreat would shame his empire. To fight might mean destruction. For the first time in his life, he hesitated, and far beyond, across hidden networks, the whispers grew louder. The humans have returned. The Terrans are alive, and they are not what we remember. The galaxy trembled with a new fear, and a new question burned in every mind. If this was only 5 ships, what would happen when the full Terran fleet appeared? The battlefield grew silent. Broken Drexian cruisers drifted like burning husks, their wreckage glowing against the stars. The Terran ships floated in calm formation, untouched, their dark hulls reflecting only the faint light of the Valari sun. 5 ships, only 5. And yet they had broken a fleet of 30. The Valari people, watching from their planet's surface, were stunned into silence. Some wept, others fell to their knees in prayer. For generations they had told stories of Terrans as myths, ghosts, or long-lost warriors. Now the myth had become real. The Valari Council Chamber echoed with disbelief. "They fight like no race I have ever seen," one elder whispered. "They did not even struggle," said another. "They fought with precision as if this battle meant nothing." The youngest counselor, who had sent the desperate signal, spoke in awe. "They said they remembered the debt. They came for us, but what else do they remember?" Far above, the Drexian warlord seethed with rage. His claws dug into the arms of his command chair as his crew stared at him in fearful silence. Never in Drexian history had such humiliation taken place. 5 ancient Terran ships had destroyed a third of his fleet. He wanted to order another attack, to crush these humans, prove Drexian strength, but a deep unease gnawed at him. They were not fighting with desperation. They were fighting with control. It meant one thing: this was not their full force. The warlord sent out a message across the Drexian Empire. "Send reinforcements. Send everything. We will burn these Terran ghosts out of existence." The message spread quickly, and with it spread fear. Across the galaxy, listening posts and hidden watchers repeated the same whispered phrase: "The Terrans have returned." In the vast trade hubs, merchants paused their work to listen. Smugglers in the Outer Rim exchanged nervous looks. Scholars in ancient libraries dug through old Terran records. Everywhere the same question grew louder. Had the humans truly survived all these centuries? And if so, where had they been hiding? On the Valari homeworld, as the Drexian wreckage still burned in orbit, the Terrans made contact once more. A transmission filled the council chamber. This time the Valari saw them, not just heard their voices. The image showed a Terran officer. His uniform was dark, his eyes sharp, his expression calm. He looked neither young nor old, but there was something unsettling about his gaze. A weight, a history, a silent promise of violence. "I am Commander Hale of the Terran Expeditionary Command," he said. "Valari people, you called." We answered, "Your world is under our protection." The elders bowed deeply, their voices trembling with gratitude. "You saved us once before. We thought you were gone forever." Commander Hale's face did not soften. "Terrans do not vanish, we endure, and we repay debts." In orbit, the Terran fleet moved with silent purpose. Drones flew from their ships, repairing Valari satellites, restoring broken shields, even distributing supplies to the suffering cities below. But as they worked, their sensors picked up movement. More Drexian ships, reinforcements. The Valari trembled. "We cannot face them again. They will destroy us all." Commander Hale turned, his eyes cold. "No, this time they face us." Far across space, the Drexian High Command had already gathered. Warlords argued in fury, demanding vengeance. Some still laughed at the idea of humans returning, claiming it was impossible. But others, the older ones, did not laugh. They remembered whispers from their ancestors. They remembered the last time Terrans fought an empire. And they remembered how that empire fell. The Drexians prepared a massive fleet, hundreds of ships strong, and sent it roaring toward Valari space. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. Would the humans be crushed under Drexian numbers? Or would something else happen, something far more dangerous? Meanwhile, among the Valari, rumors spread quickly. People saw the Terran ships up close and spoke of strange details, hulls that seemed to heal themselves. Weapons that fired without sound, but tore ships apart. symbols carved into their armor, glowing faintly like fire. To the frightened Valari, the Terrans seemed less like humans, and more like something beyond human. Some whispered in awe, perhaps they are no longer just Terrans. Perhaps they are something greater. But Commander Hale gave no hint of mystery. He simply prepared his fleet. Every word, every order carried the same calm weight. Hold positions. Do not reveal full strength. Wait until they commit. It was strategy, but it was also something more. A message. The Terrans wanted the galaxy to see. They wanted the Drexians to understand. When the Drexian reinforcements finally arrived, darkening the stars with their numbers, the Valari panicked. Hundreds of enemy warships filled the skies. The Valari leaders begged the Terrans to retreat. You cannot face them all. You will die with us. Commander Hale's answer was simple. We do not run. We do not forget. The debt will be repaid. The Terran ships moved into formation once more. The Drexian warlord roared across the comms. This time you will die, Terran ghosts. And for the first time, Commander Hale allowed a faint smile. Then come and test us. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The galaxy leaned closer, trembling with awe and fear. The Drexians had brought their fury. The Terrans were about to show the truth, and everyone knew. This next battle would decide more than the Valari's fate. It would decide the balance of power for the entire galaxy. The Valari skies turned red as the Drexian fleet arrived in full strength. Hundreds of warships, heavy cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts stretched across orbit like an iron wall. Their engines burned like suns, their weapons primed to erase a single fragile world. The Valari trembled. No one had ever survived such power. No empire had ever dared stand against a Drexian war fleet this size, and yet 5 Terran ships remained in their path, silent and unshaken. Commander Hale's calm voice echoed across the comms. Formation locked. Weapons primed. We hold. The Drexian warlord laughed as he watched the display. 5 ships against my fleet of hundreds? You are either fools or already dead. He raised his hand and gave the command no one in the galaxy could refuse. Fire. The Drexian fleet unleashed hell. Thousands of plasma beams ripped through the void. Missiles streaked forward, glowing like firestorms. The Valari cities below braced for impact, their people screaming in fear. But the Terran ships moved. They did not scatter. They did not break formation. Instead, a blinding field erupted around them, shields unlike anything ever recorded. Drexian weapons struck, but their fury dissolved like water against stone. In the Valari control room, one elder gasped. They stopped it, all of it. Then the Terrans answered. From the lead ship, a pulse of white light spread across the stars. It did not explode. It simply expanded, silent and perfect. Every Drexian missile caught within it froze, its systems dead. They drifted, harmless like toys in space. From the second ship, a beam of energy lanced out. It did not bend or waver. It pierced straight through 3 Drexian cruisers at once, leaving them hollow shells. The third ship released swarms of drones, small black machines that flew with impossible speed. They tore into Drexian engines and weapons, cutting them apart with surgical precision. The Valari could only stare. "This is not war," one whispered. "This is control." The Drexians roared in fury and charged forward. Their dreadnoughts opened fire. Their carriers released swarms of fighters. The void became a storm of light and fire. But the Terrans did not yield. Every move was exact. Every strike was final. The 5 ships danced between giants, carving through them as if they had always known the outcome. A Valari child, watching the battle from a shelter window, whispered the words that would spread across the galaxy. They fight like gods. Still, the Drexians fought with savage pride. Their numbers pressed forward, surrounding the Terran formation. The warlord snarled, "They cannot hold forever. Crush them!" But Commander Hale's voice remained calm. "You are correct. We cannot hold forever. That is why we did not come alone." The stars shifted. From the far side of the system, shadows emerged. At first, the Valari thought it was debris. Then they realized ships, dozens, hundreds, Terran ships. They had been waiting hidden in the void, cloaked and silent. Now they revealed themselves, filling the stars with their dark silhouettes. The Drexian warlord froze. His crew's eyes widened in horror. This is impossible, he whispered, but it was not impossible. It was real. The Terran fleet had returned. Not 5 ships, not 10, hundreds. The battle turned in an instant. The new Terran fleet struck from behind, cutting through Drexian lines like fire through paper. Drexian cruisers erupted in flames, carriers split apart. Dreadnoughts crumbled under weapons no one had seen in centuries. The Drexians tried to regroup, but the Terrans gave them no chance. Every maneuver, every strike was calculated. No wasted shot, no mercy. From the Valari world below, the skies became a storm of light, Drexian ships dying one after another. Terran fire tearing the Empire's pride to ashes. The Valari cried out in awe and terror. They were never gone. They were waiting. They are stronger than ever. Inside his flagship, the Drexian warlord felt fear for the first time. His empire had crushed hundreds of species, had conquered without resistance. But now he faced something else. Something far older, not a dying race, not ghosts, but Terrans reborn, remade, relentless. He shouted to his crew, "Retreat! Retreat!" But it was too late. The Terran fleet closed around them, a wall of black steel and white fire. One by one, Drexian ships fell. The warlord's flagship shuddered as Terran beams tore through its shields. Fires consumed its halls. Before the end, a final transmission cut through his systems. Commander Hale's face appeared, calm as ever. His words were soft, but they carried across the void like thunder. "This is repayment. You threatened those who sheltered us. You forgot mercy. We do not forget." The screen went dark. A final Terran strike cut through the Drexian flagship, splitting it in two. The warlord's roar was lost in the fire. Silence returned to the system. The Drexian fleet was gone. The Valari world was safe. But what remained in the minds of all who watched was not relief, it was fear. Because if this was how Terrans repaid a single debt, what would they do to their enemies? The battle was over. The skies above the Valari homeworld were littered with Drexian wreckage, twisted metal drifting like broken bones. Fires still burned across the void where mighty warships had once stood proud, and in the center of it all, the Terran fleet remained, silent, calm, untouched. The Valari people stood on their streets, staring upward. For the first time in centuries, their skies were clear of conquerors. But instead of cheering, they whispered in awe, "They did it. They destroyed the Drexians. But what are they now?" In the council chamber, the Valari elders bowed deeply before the Terran transmission. Commander Hale appeared once again, his dark uniform unmarked by battle, his face as unreadable as stone. "You are safe," he said simply. "The debt is repaid." The Valari elder dared to speak. "Commander, we do not know how to thank you. You saved us when no one else would." Hale's eyes were steady. "Long ago, your people sheltered ours in a time of need. We do not forget such things. Terrans repay what is owed." For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then the youngest counselor asked the question that had burned in every Valari heart. "Commander, if this is what you do for friends, then what will you do to enemies?" Hale's gaze sharpened, though his voice never rose. "They will remember us." Word spread across the galaxy faster than light. Smugglers whispered it in shadowed bars. Traders carried it to every starport. Diplomats repeated it in hushed tones behind closed doors. The Terrans have returned. They repaid a debt and destroyed the Drexian fleet. No one can stop them. For centuries, Terrans had been ghosts, myths, stories for children. Now they were real, and worse. They were stronger than anyone had imagined. In the Drexian capital, news of the defeat struck like a knife. Warlords argued in fury, some demanding vengeance, others trembling with fear. Never in their empire's long history had they suffered such a total loss. If Terrans had fleets this powerful, then the Drexian Empire itself might not survive another war. And the galaxy knew it. Other empires took notice. The Zarn Dominion, who had once mocked humans as primitive, suddenly ordered their fleets to avoid Terran space. The Zorath Syndicate, famous for enslaving weaker races, quietly released their Valari captives, afraid of Terran retaliation. Even the mighty Korgathi Empire, rulers of hundreds of worlds, began recalling their armies from Terran borders. Fear spread faster than fire, but not only fear. For the small, the weak, the broken races who had suffered under empires for generations, there was something else: hope. If Terrans would protect the Valari, perhaps they would protect others too. Perhaps no empire was untouchable anymore. The galaxy trembled not only with fear, but with the possibility of justice. On the Valari homeworld, the people began to rebuild. Terran drones helped restore power, purify water, and repair orbital defenses. The Valari children watched the machines in wonder, whispering stories about the return of the Ghost Guardians. But the Terrans did not linger. One by one, their ships began to vanish into the dark. Cloaks shimmered, engines dimmed, and they slipped back into the shadows of space. Commander Hale's final transmission echoed across the Valari skies. The debt is repaid. Life free, Valari. Remember this day, and remember Terrans always return. Then they were gone. The Valari wept, but their tears were not only of sorrow. They wept with relief, with gratitude, with the knowledge that the galaxy was no longer the same. Because somewhere, out there in the endless dark, the Terrans were watching. Across the galaxy, leaders met in secret. Some argued for alliances, others for preparation, but all agreed on one thing. No empire could afford to forget the humans again, and in hidden strongholds, deep in uncharted space, the Terran fleets gathered, silent, patient. Their ships stood ready, their commanders watchful. They had revealed only a fraction of their power, only a glimpse of what they had become. Commander Hale stood aboard his flagship, staring into the endless night. Around him, his officers waited silently. At last he spoke. Debts have been repaid, but this galaxy is not balanced. Too many prey on the weak. Too many believe we are gone. It is time. They all remember. The officers saluted as the fleet began to move, and across the stars, a single truth spread like fire. The humans were back, and the galaxy would never be the same.